The New York Mets have made another signing for their bench, as this time they picked up Jonathan Villar on a one-year deal for $3.5 million plus incentives. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Jonathan Villar signing, what it means for the Mets, my reaction to it, and what else the Mets could do, because this is another move similar to Albert Almora that's very cheap. And once again, since the Mets offered Bauer $40 million, there still is plenty of money left to spend. Comment down below, what are your thoughts on the Jonathan Villar signing? I know it's not a big splash, but having a bench is really important, especially when you play in the National League and it looks like there's not going to be a DH in a full 162-game season with 7-inning doubleheaders and a runner on second base. You're going to need players like this. Jonathan Villar, a do-it-all guy, a speed guy, switch hitter, utility, could give you a little bit of power. And if you want to make getting out of bed worth it, make sure to subscribe. Jonathan Villar is definitely a very interesting guy because he is not someone I had on the list yesterday when I was talking about players that the Mets could go after, what kind of fit they could have on the team, all that stuff. I didn't have him on there because not too long ago, it looked like the Cincinnati Reds had signed Villar. Villar is also someone that I felt like had a lot of value, so I thought that he would get a lot more than $3.5 million. He had a down year in 2020, but I feel like we're saying that about everybody. There are a lot of players, particularly offensively, that had down years in 2020, even really good players. But in 2019, Jonathan Villar had a really good year, played in 162 games, played every single game, and hit 25 home runs with a .274 batting average, and here's the kicker: 40 stolen bases. A stolen base from a Met? What? Is that a real thing? The Mets have been horrible at stealing bases the past few years. So bringing in a guy that off the bench, let's say somebody gets on and you want to get a player with more speed that could perhaps steal a base, Jonathan Villar is a nice guy to go to off the bench. I just feel like Jonathan Villar could do so much for a team. He could play second, he could play third, he could play short, he could play left field. He's a switch hitter. I mean, I don't know what more you could want from a guy, especially at that price. To give you a comparison, I mean, just think of what the Mets gave Jed Lowry to be their utility guy. 2 years, $20 million, compared to Villar, 1 year, $3.5 million plus incentives, and Villar's only 29 years old, so it's not like, oh, he's getting older, he's on the decline. No, this guy is very much still around his prime. Villar can give the Mets production so many different ways, whether they need him to play a certain position, you want to move some players around, if you need him to come in for speed purposes, and if you need him to make starts, that's another place where he has a lot of value, because since he can steal that many bases and can hit 275 and hit you 25 homers or close to it, this is a guy that if McNeil needs a day off, or if Lindor needs a day off, or JD Davis isn't playing well, he could give JD Davis a little bit of push over there at third base for the starting job. With no DH, you know you're going to need pinch hitters and make double switches and things like that. It is very valuable to have somebody like Jonathan Villar on this team. Now, people wanted Marwin Gonzalez. I've always liked Marwin Gonzalez, but I just think that Villar provides more value. Marwin Gonzalez is not stealing 40 bases. In fact, in 2019, when Jonathan Villar stole 40 bases, Marwin Gonzalez stole 1 base. That's New York Mets stuff. 1 stolen base. But Villar, I mean, that is so much more value because the Mets did not have a guy on the bench that was going to swipe a bag. They had nobody. Even on the whole team, nobody's stealing bases. The Mets as a team right now were hardly going to get any stolen bases to begin with. So having something like that off the bench is very nice. And also, Jonathan Villar is pretty much a better hitter than Marwin Gonzalez. When we look at 2019, Villar had almost 10 more home runs than Marwin Gonzalez and a higher batting average. Villar is also younger than Gonzalez, so again, he wasn't on my list because I thought Villar was going to get more. Like, I thought the Reds were going to sign Villar to be the starting shortstop because the Reds need a shortstop. Mets already have, in my opinion, the best shortstop in baseball. Just to have Villar as a backup, that cheap of a deal? Oh my gosh, I think this was a great signing. I'm not saying it's a difference between winning a playoff series, but I think that looking at what the Mets bench was and what it's been for so many years, this is a nice signing. Like getting all these minor league depth pieces in the starting rotation like Yamamoto and Lucchesi, and getting Almora for defense, and getting Villar to do everything. Like, this is what real major league teams do. They have depth at every level. You're covered everywhere. So if something happens, you have a player that's ready. It's not like, oh, well, we don't have a backup third baseman, so now we're screwed. So if Villar is like 70% or 80% of what he was in 2019, the Mets have themselves a really nice player off the bench on a very cheap deal and only a 1-year deal. So if he doesn't work out, he's gone next year. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, let me know what you think about the Villar signing. And until the next one, be safe, be smart, be healthy, and let's go Mets.